Come on in. Hi, Catherine. How are you?
Doing
I'm
good.
Shay. It's nice to meet you in the flesh. Thank you so much for filling out your intake form. I know it's a lot of paperwork, but it does help to have it done beforehand. Oh, you can go ahead and get yourself together. Sorry about that. Can I offer you some water or anything?
No, thank you. I'm
Glad to
good.
see you at
Thank
your Whataburger. Alrighty, is this your first time doing any type of counseling or okay?
Yes.
Awesome. So before we get started, I just want to tell you a little bit about myself and go over a consent form that I do with all my patients. So first and foremost, just a little bit of background about me. I graduated from Texas Tech in Human Sciences, bachelor's degree. I've worked with a couple of different substance abuse centers around the Metroplex, and then about a year ago, I decided to venture out on my own, and so here I am. So my job here is to just basically understand, why you typically use these substances that you choose to use, help you get the goals, set goals that you want to do, and then we work together to accomplish what you set out to do. I'm not a mental health therapist, so if there's something more involved that you need assistance with that surrounds mental health, then I would refer you to someone else who could help you there. Okay?
Okay.
So first, just know that what we talk about here is just between the two of us. Confidentiality is the main goal here, is to be important to just keep what we talk about between the two of us. I will be taking notes, but when I'm not here and when I don't have the notes, they are under lock and key. Now, if you tell me that you're upset and you're thinking about hurting yourself or someone else, or if there's some type of child abuse or elderly abuse, I do have to report that to the proper authorities. Okay. And also, under court of law, if a judge says I have to surrender your notes about our sessions, then I do have to do that by law legally. But I will inform you that it's happening. Okay. So next, about our sessions. If you show up to the sessions and you are high or drunk from alcohol, then we cannot continue the session. We are going to reschedule. I'm going to call an Uber for you to get you home safely. If you are belligerent, then I'm going to have to call the cops so that you can have a police escort, just to maintain the safety of me, my staff, and yourself as well. Okay. So fees. So my services are $85 an hour for each session. Typically, I don't like to do Zoom, but if in the event that there's an emergency, then I can see you for 30 minutes via Zoom, $75. You do have to have access to a webcam because I need to verify that it is you that I'm speaking with, just to be ethical about that. But that is in an emergency situation, and I would have to determine that when you contact me. It's important that you show up for your appointments, and I know things happen. Life happens all the time. Kids get sick, hearts break down. But if you can, give me a 24-hour notice. If you can't, something happens, then there will be a charge for late shows. And for example, if you come into your appointment and you're 10 minutes late, then we're going to go ahead and continue, but the session will end at the time it was supposed to end initially. You just have to be mindful of time, because just like you have an appointment, someone else has an appointment as well. So I do like to respect everyone's time. Okay. All right. Then the next portion of this is about social media. I know you young kids like the TikTok and the Instagram and all the things, but it is unethical for us to be friends outside of this setting. So we can't be friends on Facebook and Instagram and all that. If you have a fun video and you decide you want to send it to me, unfortunately, we can't be friends on that level. So this is just to basically protect our privacy. If you need to contact me via email, just don't put anything that's personal in there, because I cannot monitor email as it's not private. Okay. So now that we're to the end here, this consent form is saying that you are agreeing to receive voluntary counseling services for yourself. You are stating that you have read and agreed to the terms and conditions. You're verifying that all of your questions and concerns have been asked and addressed. You understand your rights and your responsibilities of me, your counselor. You are consenting to do therapy with me, Shay Morgan, and you understand that at any time that you can revoke your consent for yourself without judgment or punishment. Or do you have any questions about the informed consent that we've reviewed? Okay. If you don't mind, I'll go ahead and have you sign, and then today is the 5th of October.
The 5th?
The 5th of October. Awesome, thank you. Alrighty. And you go ahead and sign, and then I'll have a copy of this for you so that you can have for your records at the end of our session. Okay. Alrighty, so now that our paperwork is out of the way, let's get to know each other a little bit. So tell me, I saw that on your intake form that you do have your college degree. What did you have to get your degree in?
I got it in a Bachelor's of Science in Professional and Technical Communication.
Oh, wow, that sounds real technical. Tell me a little bit about that.
It's basically just turning processes into achievable points that somebody can read really quickly.
Processes. Tell me more about the processes.
Say if your job was to pick up a cup, I would number it 1, 2, 3. Make sure you have a hand. 2, make sure you have a cup. 3, reach out for the cup, and so on and so forth.
Interesting. Okay. Awesome. Wow. That is very technical. Okay. So, you mentioned that you work about 15 days during the month, and you are right about 20K. So does that mean you work part-time? How does that work out?
We work just about 6 hours every day. It's a really weird dynamic with my work, but I'll work maybe 3 to 4 days out of the week.
That's gotta be pretty nice.
It's nice. It gives me a lot of free time. But it's the work is really nice.
Okay. So is this a stepping stone to something different, or is this pretty much where you want to be right now?
I'm just looking to it's not where I want to be, but it is something that, pays me.
Okay. Alrighty. So let's get to why you're here. Tell me about your choice of drugs that you typically like to use.
I smoke weed and I drink, and that's what I got in trouble for.
That's why you got arrested?
Yeah.
Okay. So tell me about that. Were you on both substances when that happened?
I mean, I got arrested for driving while drunk, and I had weed on me, but it's not like I was using both at the same time.
Okay. Interesting. So tell me about, when did you start? On your intake form, you said that it was around 20 years old. Were you in college, getting ready, or did you just finish high school?
I was in college, and my friends were doing it, so it just seemed like the cool thing to do, to just relax.
Did you feel pressured by your friends, or was it just more of, something to do? You guys were all doing it, and so.
Yeah, everyone was doing it. I would say it was like peer pressure, but I didn't feel pressured to do it. Nobody forced me to do anything.
Where do you feel that the desire to want to do it, where did that come from?
Just social.
Okay. You also checked off emotional, psychological problems, but you're not taking any prescription medications. Tell me more about that.
It's like with my family, we didn't have that much. We're not on the best terms with my family, but family is really important. So it's just, sometimes I feel kind of depressed or anxious, and going out and having fun with my friends is a good release.
Good way to just kind of get away from it all.
Yes.
So, is there a history of any physical or sexual abuse in the family that you're aware of?
No.
And does anyone in your family struggle with substance abuse that you're aware of on either side?
No.
No. No siblings, anything like that?
I do have siblings.
Okay. And none of them do drugs that you are aware of or do any drinking?
I mean, my younger siblings do, but they like vape.
Okay. So it seems like, so you just kind of mentioned vaping. What do you think about vaping and the marijuana use? Do you feel like that's even a substance, that you're abusing a substance?
I would say yes, but it's not as bad as doing cocaine or whatever.
Do any of your friends do cocaine that you know of?
No.
Okay. Okay, so let's talk about those friends, like while we're talking. You mentioned that you all have that desire to work and you feel hopeful. So why is it that why do you feel like you use drugs?
Like I said before, like social interactions, just to relax. I mean, you can feel good at work all you want, but whenever it's on the downtime, sometimes you just want to lay back.
Interesting. So do they have any issues at home that you're aware of with their family? Like you mentioned that you had some emotional stress. Then it sounds like that was probably the driving force that maybe started you to be interested in doing marijuana and drinking alcohol.
Mm-hmm.
Do you feel that same thing is happening with some of your friends?
I think my friends are kind of in the same boat. It's not like their families are any worse than mine, but definitely everybody has their different stressors if you don't know what's going on in their lives.
Okay. Understand. So let's get back to your family. So, you mentioned that you guys get along sometimes and that you talk about your interests and that you help each other with your problems. So tell me more about that. What problems are you helping each other with?
Well, me and my mom are constantly like having conversations about like how I can do better. She's always on me because she wants me to do better,
Yeah, sounds like that's what moms do, right?
Yeah.
But when she's talking to you about doing better, is there any yelling or condescending in her voice when you guys talk?
I mean, at first, like, she was always on my case because she thought that I was constantly under the influence. But she definitely chilled out since then, especially since I moved out.
Okay, so you said she was on your case about using. So did she know about the marijuana, the alcohol, or both?
Both.
She knew about both. Okay.
She didn't like either.
Okay, my next question is what did she attempt to do to discourage you from going down that road?
Oh man, she would buy drug tests for the home. She would just have some on ready, like an RX, and like when we talked about like arguments with the family, that's what I was thinking of, especially because she talks bad about people who drink, and like it's like she thought that I was what was the word, a lush?
A lush, okay.
She didn't want me drinking too early.
Do you feel like you disappointed your mom?
As much as you can disappoint anybody.
So you mentioned you often got blamed or fussed at about things that you did or didn't do. Were these things that you didn't do because you were drinking and under the influence of marijuana, or was this just outside of that box?
She was always suspicious that I was doing something. So whether or not it was drugs, alcohol, or doing something wrong with somebody else.
You did mention that your parents never got married, and so your mom remarried your stepdad. Did he know about anything that was going on? Did he have anything to say?
It all came out right before I moved out. Um, he was just disappointed.
How long ago did you move out and been on your own?
Ooh, about 2, 3 years. Not sure.
Okay, that's good. So, how have you been able to support yourself with your part-time job now that you've been on your own for 2 years? Because you mentioned you only make 20,000 a year. That doesn't seem like enough to sustain yourself.
Just staying with friends. Uh, I save money.
Does any of your money that you save and get, do they come from any illegal forms? No.
No.
And so let's talk about your moods. You mentioned you were depressed and you were suffering from some anxiety, had a hard time concentrating, remembering things. Do you feel like that's due to the substance abuse?
No.
No. So were you experiencing that prior to?
Yeah, you know.
So tell me more about that. The depression, the anxiety. What did you feel like was making it hard for you to concentrate?
Just kind of like not fitting in and wanting to. I mean, like I said, whenever I started smoking and drinking, it was for the social aspect, and suddenly I found my clique, you know? So it was just about fitting in, and, I never felt like I had to fit in. So that depression and anxiety just kind of came from that.
Okay. When you started using the substances, did you start with the alcohol first or the marijuana? Did you do them simultaneously?
I mean, it wasn't too long before I started smoking after I started drinking alcohol, but alcohol was definitely first.
And during those times, and you feel like, did your depression, anxiety, your concentration, did it get worse for you?
Just a little bit, but it wasn't like, it was more like I felt more alive whenever I was with friends.
So was there a time that you continued to drink or use the marijuana even when you felt like it was causing problems with your family, like with your mom, the arguing, the bickering, her doing the random drug tests? At that point, she's basically begging you to stop, but yet you continue to go and do it. So did you feel like, what increased that need to do it, even though your mom really wanted you to stop?
There was so much pressure at home. So
tell me more about the pressure.
It's like your parents want you to do good, and when you're not making it happen immediately, that's a lot of pressure. So.
And what does that mean in your eyes, to do good?
Like get a degree. Like, mind you, I was still in college when I started. So my parents wanted me to get a degree. They wanted me to be financially independent. They wanted me to have stability, I guess, before I left the house. And, with all of that, it wasn't happening. It wasn't happening as fast as they wanted it to. And I felt every time that, they were disappointed by where I was at. Like if I was sleeping in my bed, they would wonder why I was sleeping instead of doing something productive. But so yeah, that's a lot of pressure when you just want to rest. Sometimes you've been working.
So what was this dangerous thing that you did to increase your chances of getting hurt using the drugs, the marijuana, and the alcohol?
I would drive sometimes,
Mhm.
And I mean, that's how I got arrested.
And at any time were you fearful that you would hurt yourself or someone else?
There's always a risk, but we would, you know, my friends get more messed up than I do, so I was always the best one.
Really? So, what made you decide that you were going to not be as drunk or use as much marijuana as your friends?
Um, just out of care for my friends, so that way I can make sure that they get home safely as well.
Do you care about yourself?
Yes.
So, tell me about the times that you were skipping classes in school. You mentioned that some of the alcohol and marijuana affected your livelihood. So, tell me more about that.
Uh, I mean, who wants to go to class?
Right. No one wants to go to class, of course. But did you feel as if you were too hungover to go to class, or that you were too high that you couldn't drive yourself, or something like? I want to hear about those times.
Yeah. Sometimes whenever I get high, like I just want to sleep in. I'll just watch the online seminar. Whenever I'm hungover, I'm not coming in. I'm gonna get some Whataburger and stay home.
Gotcha. Well, you mentioned that you've done that multiple times. So, at any point, did you ever feel like you wanted to stop? You had promised yourself, well, I'm going to not drink this time. I'm not going to have weed this time. You said that you were going to promise yourself, but then you didn't.
A few times, yeah.
So, what do you feel like made you decide not to keep that promise to yourself?
Just kind of allowing myself to do what I want after working so hard.
So it was more, sounds like what I'm hearing is that you wanted to reward yourself for a job well done.
Yeah.
So even though you wanted to reward yourself, did you not feel that you're also hurting yourself in the process because you're missing out on life, missing out on school, missing out on family, so that you can do this other thing?
I mean, yeah, I think about it, but it's kind of like you gotta be selfish sometimes.
How often is sometimes?
3 or more.
3 or more. Someone is remembering her intake form. I like it. It means you actually paid attention as you were reading through. Okay. 3 or more times. Okay. So overall, outside of the judge, I know that you were arrested for drunk driving and you had marijuana in your person. This was your first time ever being arrested, and the judge took mercy on you. So you've been placed on probation in order to come here. How do you feel about that? How does that make you feel?
I feel like they saw potential in me whenever they told me that I would get the sentencing that I did. I felt like he saw my potential, so I could actually do better.
Do you want to do better?
Absolutely.
And what does doing better look like to you?
I mean, doing something in my degree, getting paid for it real well, and I guess finding a healthier friend style.
A healthier friend style. Tell me more about that.
Obviously, I was rolling with the wrong crowd when I got arrested. I should probably find a different crowd. Like, I haven't hung out with them since I got arrested.
Interesting. That's actually good to hear. So it sounds as if you were feeling a lot of pressure. You were overwhelmed with life. You had a group of friends who enabled you. Now, there was a point where you mentioned that you tried to stop and you had some sweating, hard time sleeping, and concentrating. How long ago was that when you attempted to stop the substance abuse?
Recently, I mean, within the last 6 months, I guess.
And what occurred that made you get back on the bandwagon? What happened? What happened to make you drink so much that night?
It's just, you know, things get hard. Like, you don't always have a different vice or a different outlet for release. That, you know, whenever you have a certain outlet for stress and people don't like it, and it's alcohol, weed, whatever, it's not like you can just afford to get a new one. Some people pay memberships to have yoga or a therapist, and you know, not everybody's making that kind of money.
Right, but how much money have you been spending on your habit, on your substances? Alcohol's not cheap. I can't imagine that marijuana would be as well.
It's a sunk cost.
It's a what?
It's a sunk cost.
A sunk cost. Sunk. I hadn't heard that term before. Sunk. What does that mean?
Money that's not going back into an investment or your bank.
Okay.
Like, whatever money, it's basically free. Like, if I budget for it, or if I pull out money from the bank and I still have money left over from that's not in my bank account anymore, I'll spend it on money, or I'll spend it on alcohol or weed.
Gotcha. Sunk fund. So back on to that. You tried. How bad were your withdrawal symptoms during that time when you tried to stop?
It was pretty bad. I got really depressed, and I think I was sweating, shaking, some physical symptoms.
And did you feel the need to use more substance just so that you could feel better? Or did you go back to it?
There was a time when I increased my intake because I just wasn't feeling it, but definitely had me thinking about going back to drinking and smoking whenever I felt those withdrawal symptoms.
Tell me about a time you can do before college, during college, that did not involve any alcohol or marijuana, but you were happy. An activity that you were doing that made you feel good. That was fun, relieved stress.
I would say summer camp and swimming at the YMCA.
And was this summer camp? Were you in high school, middle school?
Yeah, I've swam from middle school through high school into college. Actually, I stopped once I turned 20.
Gotcha. Right around the time you started hanging out with those friends?
Yeah.
Is there anything else that you enjoy doing outside of swimming?
Art. I like art.
What type of art?
I'll paint on canvas, just regular acrylics. Tried to pick up crocheting once.
Nice. So it sounds like you do have some things that interest you. I want to challenge you to incorporate some of these things back into your life so that you can try to replace the substance abuse. It is going to be hard. I feel like you may go through some mild to moderate withdrawal symptoms. Depression, the sweating, lack of concentration is going to be difficult. Do you have a support system? Who do you go to when you want to talk or when you need emotional support?
I got my cousins and my immediate family.
Do they live here?
Yes.
Does that immediate family include your mom?
Yeah, our relationship has gotten a lot better.
Okay, good. So I believe that you can turn this thing around. You do have a support system. I think if you change your environment, change your stress outlets. So the first thing is, it's going to be hard to say no to those friends. Saying no is hard in general, but no is a complete sentence. Period on the end. Practice saying it in the mirror when those friends call, hey, Kat, let's go, do this or let's do that. Just say no. I can't. You don't owe people an explanation on why you can't do things. You're an adult. Just get in the habit and the practice of saying no. When you feel that urge to drink, I want you to maybe go swimming. Do you have access to a pool where you live?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's not a cool pool.
Okay. Do you have, let's say, a recreation center nearby?
Yeah, I do.
Okay. So let's take money from the sunk fund, put that into the rec center, so that way when you feel yourself being overwhelmed, you can go swimming. Okay. Take some more of that sunk fund money. Mm-hmm. Let's put it into some art supplies. So let's just try to change. I think by just changing the way you handle your stress, I think that you'll be okay. Also, I would say if you could do some small sessions where it's very intense. It's about 15 to 20 minute sessions where you're just literally focus on writing your goals. What are your goals? Where do we need to start? What are we going to do? And it's just basically holding you accountable. Mm-hmm. I don't think that you would need long-term sessions here with me. I think that would probably be the best route for you. How do you feel about that?
I think it sounds like a good deal.
Okay. I do want you to lean on your support system, your cousins and your family. When you feel yourself starting to get into the depression, then reach out to them and just say, hey, I'm not feeling myself. See if they want to go swimming with you. Just sit and, learn to be by yourself and just throw yourself into your art. Maybe you can find some new friends who like some of the same things that you like, but the ones who don't drink or smoke marijuana. How does that sound?
It sounds good.
Okay. So I'm glad that you came today and that we were able to open up some things, and now we have some goals that are set in place. I do want to see you again in a week.
Okay. And
then I'm going to give you that information so that you can start those little mini interview sessions to help you stay on track with your goals. But I think you're going to it's okay, no worries. I think you're going to be okay. I think you're going to be able to turn this thing around. Stay out of trouble. Mm-hmm. So that you can get past this. How long are you on probation for?
6 months.
Okay. I think you're going to be just fine. I'm going to sign off on your paperwork for the judge. But I do want to see you again in a week, like I said, so that we can map out things and see how you've been doing. Okay? Awesome. It's nice to meet you, Kat. And thank you so much for your time.
Thank you.